was a pretty stupid kid, which has led me to being a pretty stupid teenager. And when I was that pretty stupid kid, I did some pretty stupid stuff. So, Star Wars The Clone Wars is one of my favorite TV shows ever, right up there with Avatar and Phineas and Ferb. It's a show about a bunch of little random stories that took place in between episodes 2 and 3, and honestly, it is way better than it has any right to be. It gave birth to some of the best stories and characters in all of Star Wars, including Ahsoka Tano, my favorite character in Star Wars in its entirety. In the movie that came out before the show, which was admittedly pretty bad, but we can just ignore it, there's this one scene where Anakin jumps off this giant crumbly building onto a big evil robot, and when I first saw this as a tiny baby boy, I thought it was so freaking cool. I thought it was so cool, in fact, that I tried to reenact it with my little plastic toy lightsaber and the swivelly bar chair. Let me just show you how well that went. And hey, speaking of Star Wars, Lego Star Wars for my Nintendo Wii was one of my favorite video games to play as a kid. I've always been an early riser, so the first thing I would do every morning before I went to school was get up, boot up the Wii, and play a good 20 minutes of Lego Star Wars. But there was one rule. Originally, I was allowed to play as soon as I woke up, but my mom realized the issue with this. I just sort of kept getting up earlier and earlier so I could play it sooner and sooner. It got to the point where I was going to bed at 9 and waking up at 1, so my mom took notice that that was an issue. She then implemented a rule that allowed me to only start playing once it had passed 6:30 a.m. and I had checked in with her. But little me was not down for that. This caused me to come up with the genius idea of moving the hands on our giant face clock just to make it seem as if it was later in the day than it actually was. I'm pretty sure my mom picked up on it once I had set it a full hour forward. She also might have just looked at the digital clock that was on the microwave right next to the giant face clock, or her phone, or her alarm clock, literally any other clock that was in our house. And while we're talking about video games, sweet transitions. Video games are the single cause of the single time that I have ever been grounded. My parents were going out to do something. I don't really remember what it was. It might have been some fundraiser, back to school night. I don't know. It's not really important. And they left us with the babysitter. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but our babysitter was so freaking awesome. She was a former student of my dad. He's a teacher. And she was just such a nice person. She would take us to get ice cream sometimes when she picked us up from school, and she played board games with us. She was just the best. And of course, she let me play video games for as long as I wanted, as long as I stayed within my 30-minute time limit. But the day our mom and dad went to that event, which I can't actually remember, I decided to be a rebel. I asked the babysitter if I could play on my Wii, and when she responded with, "Have you already played today?" Nope, I had already played. So I played, my parents got home, they found out I was grounded the next day. And that is not nearly the dumbest thing I've done in relation to video games. Something you should know about me is that I absolutely love Pokemon. My first game was Pearl on the DS, and I have played nearly every other game since. So when I heard that there was a new Pokemon game coming out in the third dimension for a brand new powerful handheld console, the Nintendo 3DS, I knew that I needed one. The new school year of 2014 was coming around, and at this point, Pokemon X and Y had been out for a little less than a year. My sisters and I went shopping with our grandpa for new clothes at the mall for the new school year, and I wasn't really buying anything. It was more so just my sisters. I was just waiting to go to Old Navy because that's just the kind of clothes I wore back in 2014. Don't judge me. My grandpa noticed that I was also incredibly bored and decided to let me hang out in the GameStop we have in our mall, with the very large amount of money he gave me for clothes. In my defense, my grandpa should not have let me have all that money that was meant specifically to be spent on clothing, and he most definitely should not have let me go into that GameStop unsupervised. But he did, and I saw that Nintendo 3DS XL, and I saw that one single copy of Pokemon X. Needless to say, I may or may not have needed to ask my grandpa for more money once we did arrive at the Old Navy. and he may or may not have been very upset to find out where I had actually spent the money. But on the bright side of things, I gotta keep the DS, and I still have it to this day. It's right here. And it still works perfectly. So my sister and I were playing in our kitchen this one time. She was shooting at me with a Nerf gun, and I was doing my absolute best to deflect the darts with my foam sword like the frickin' Jedi Master I am. But I was wearing socks, and the floor was made of very hard, very painful if you were to slip and split your chin open on tile. Can you see where this is going? So I split my chin wide open. There was blood everywhere. Blood on my hands, blood on the ground, blood on the ceiling fan in the other room. It was everywhere. I had to get many, many, many stitches. And going to school the next day with a bunch of string on my chin was a pretty fun conversation piece. And the best part of this story? My sister ended up getting blamed for this, even though it was just me being a klutz and it didn't really have anything to do with her. Ha. Sucker. Hello, I welcome you to the end part of this video. I kind of tried doing a different style, like a more, not realistic, but just more accurate to human proportion style of drawing in this video. And honestly, I like it. I like it more than the one I was using before, but I think I'm still going to change it for next video. But yeah, I hope you liked it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that crap, and bye. See you in a month for the next video.